Hello again, and welcome to take number 3, but day number 4 of today's healthy living. Today, we're going to talk about coffee. And I had mentioned that people are freaking out about being able to get all of their fluid ounces in a day, starting with 64, moving up to a gallon, and then ultimately maybe finding yourself doing a gallon and a half or more of water a day, right? But the big questions that continue to come up around staying hydrated is, can I does my coffee ounces, do my tea ounces contribute to that total water? They absolutely do. So we're just going to do a recap. What do you need to remember about staying hydrated? One, you're going to work your way up to that. Two, you're going to acclimate to doing it. So if it's hard to do it today, you feel like you're getting up and having to use the restroom too much, the body does acclimate to all of that. And then number 3, when it comes to adding coffee, or it comes to the contribution of tea to these sorts of things, well, you should know that one, it does contribute, and any concerns you have with it being a diuretic, right, having to use the restroom more often with coffee or with tea, well, ultimately what ends up happening is the body acclimates to that as well. So we want to think about all of the benefits of staying hydrated and learning tonight about the benefits of coffee. Yep, coffee is one of my favorite friends, and there's a lot of good reasons for it to be such a great friend. Coffee contains vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Would you be surprised to know that, considering the amount of coffee consumption in the United States, people are getting more antioxidants and nutrients from the coffee that they drink than they are sometimes from the diet that they eat? And I'm going to tell you, that's not the way we want to see this. You want to be choosing your food, of course, based on color. You want to make sure that not only are you choosing your food based on color, that you're choosing it on nutrient density. So, cooking, how you cook your food matters. How you work with your food matters. How you season your food matters. You can amplify your food by just the way you cook it, the way you combine it with other ingredients. So these are some great steps. And so we're going to talk about coffee tonight and how that's going to kind of add to health practices that you're already dedicated to for these 28 days of health. If you haven't already started putting your 28 days of health hashtag 28 days of health so that we can tag you, start doing it now. I know we've got some real superstars out there that are doing an amazing job, right? We've got some superstars out there that are sharing all kinds of stuff with us. So now what I want you to do is take this tonight and share it with them. Coffee is nutrient dense. Does it replace a healthy diet? No, ma'am. No, sir, it does not. But you should know that it is very antioxidant rich, and your body appreciates the antioxidants that it finds from coffee. Now, roasting coffee matters because the more you roast something, or decaffeinated coffee, because solvents are used to decaffeinate coffee beans, these are some of the things that can steal some of those nutrients away, right? So, what we know and what you want to hold on to when it comes to roasting those beans is to really appreciate what's in the coffee that's doing you a favor. So, first off, B vitamins. Now, you have some B vitamins, specifically niacin and riboflavin. These are two major players in energy. Your body's ability to burn fat, carbohydrates, utilize fuels like protein is reliant on having enough B2 and enough B3. That's niacin. Are you going to get all of that from coffee alone? No, you're not. But count your cups. Are you at least contributing to your energy status besides the stimulant caffeine that is already found in coffee? The second thing I want you to pay attention to is a very important ingredient called chlorogenic acid. There's a lot of health benefits that come from your coffee beans, and it has a lot to do with chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is what is found in green coffee beans, roasted coffee beans, but to a lesser extent in roasted coffee beans. And it accounts for caffeine's ability, or rather coffee's ability, to keep your blood sugars within healthy ranges. In fact, studies looked at both decaffeinated coffee and coffee, full leaded coffee, and they found that individuals were able to keep their blood sugars within healthier ranges as a result of being coffee drinkers. They saw the biggest benefit in individuals that were consuming between 3 and 4 cups of coffee a day. Things do start to go the wrong direction when you're consuming greater than 4 cups of coffee a day. And so we should talk about not just the good side of coffee, but some of the bad sides of coffee. But let's stick with the good news first. Chlorogenic acid is not just beneficial for improving blood sugar. We also see that it has many neuroprotective benefits. So when we think of brain aging, many people go to chlorogenic acid. In fact, there's a peptide in your brain called BDNF, brain derived neuropeptide factor. And this neuropeptide, or this neuroprotective peptide, is stimulated by things like curcuminoids, exercise, and chlorogenic acid that is found in coffee beans. So there's some very good age-related, brain-related benefits from consuming coffee, and you're probably not going to be surprised to hear this, but very similar to what we learned in the literature with blood sugar, 3 to 4 cups of coffee tend to be pretty good at keeping people healthier longer when it comes to their blood sugar, keeping brains healthier longer when it comes to healthy brain aging, memory, function, recall, and reaction time. Now, I had mentioned that a lot of people will think of caffeine for its stimulant effect, and it does give you attention. In fact, caffeine's quite unique in the fact that it blocks a receptor in the brain, an adenosine receptor. So when you wake up in the morning, just so you know, there's a lot going on. Adenosine is slowly creeping up, and it's what makes you tired at night around 9 p.m. Depending on your light habits, because it's always nice if you want to have a good night's sleep that you turn your lights, your overhead lights down. Don't allow bright lights in your eyes. Use lamp light. Stay away from TV sets or computers too late at night or too close to bedtime, because those types of things disrupt a really important sleep hormone called adenosine. Well, caffeine also blocks adenosine. It's one of the reasons why when you have a cup of joe, you feel alert, you can feel focused, you feel more clear. The problem with the jolt that you get from caffeine is it's short lived, which means you will often reach for another cup, right? So there may be other ways that you can boost the brain and boost alertness without constantly consuming caffeine. And we're going to come back to that very special constituent of the coffee bean called chlorogenic acid to improve that concentration, that mental clarity. Now, there are antioxidants that have similar benefits. If you get jitters with coffee, if you feel a little bit overamped with coffee, or you feel like you really need to cut back your coffee, we're going to talk about how to know if you're one of those people. One of the things I want you to pay attention to is that there's many options that they've learned by studying caffeine to identify other parts of nature that can help you feel just as alert. As I said, if you're caffeine sensitive, or maybe you're thinking about backing off your caffeine. But when all is said and done, a cup of coffee, in fact, 4 of them, tends to be very helpful for blood sugar, tends to be very helpful for brain and brain aging, or the health of the brain in later decades of life. It tends to be considered neuroprotective. And so these are all very good things. And that big one that people ask about, is caffeine going to help me lose weight? Technically, coffee, because of caffeine, is a stimulant. It's also thermogenic. Because it's thermogenic, it does have some weight loss benefits to it. And so while caffeine can help you shred some fat, right? Shred some energy or burn calories at a higher rate and for a longer period of time, especially after exercise, it's many of the other parts of the coffee bean that are really helping you out. So let's kind of tally up the numbers. Coffee, rich in B vitamins, potassium, and some other really important minerals. Rich in antioxidants. Similar to the antioxidants that you find in chocolate, you can also find these in coffee. There's one particular ingredient that's in a coffee bean, whether it is a roasted coffee bean or a green coffee bean, called chlorogenic acid. And chlorogenic acid is what the science or the literature attributes blood sugar benefits of being a coffee drinker, longevity benefits of being a coffee drinker, brain or neuroprotective benefits of being a coffee drinker. And they say that that is 3 to 4 cups of coffee that makes that work for you. Now, as I said, there can be a dark side to coffee. It can give you jitters. It can make you feel overly anxious. These are some reasons. You can get a crash after doing it. Sometimes that mental focus is a very short-lived mental focus, and you feel real, and you can start to crash. You will also habituate to coffee. And that's something that people notice, is to get the same mental clarity or benefit that they were getting before, whether it's weight loss, whether it's mental focus, whether it's some type of drive or endurance when it comes to mental endurance. They tend to need more coffee to make that happen. So here's one of my health tips for you. If you are a coffee drinker or you rely on coffee to keep you clear, to keep you focused, alert, and productive, take a honeymoon from your caffeine. Go ahead and take a couple days off every week. Because it's possible to habituate to coffee, you want to give your body and your brain a break from it. In addition to that, I want you to think of other things that you can do that also bring health to the body, like mangosteen or acai berries. Utilizing these two types of antioxidants give you antioxidant benefit, but they also give you something called a methylxanthone. And xanthones are really great for a slow burn of energy to give you mental clarity. So if endurance is what coffee gives you, like that sense of like I've got a lot of work to get done, other antioxidants like acai and mangosteen can be really beneficial for you. If what you love about coffee is that you've heard it will help you lose weight, keep your blood sugars within healthy ranges, brain longevity, I want you to really focus on green coffee, especially if you're someone that gets the jitters with regular coffee. Now, green coffee is not a drink, right? Green coffee is an unroasted coffee bean that is often consumed in a supplement form. Some people will just pour hot water over coffee beans and green coffee beans and drink that water to see if they can liberate some of the chlorogenic acid. But currently, the only way to get a standardized, regular, and consistent amount of chlorogenic acid is to do it through supplementation. And there's enormous health benefits to doing it. We should talk about a really important factor if you are a coffee drinker. There are a lot of health benefits, but one of the side or downsides of caffeine is it does keep you up at night. If it can block that adenosine receptor, right, to keep you mentally focused so that you don't get tired or weary, you should know that caffeine, just 1 cup of it, in fact, has a half-life of 7 to 8 hours. A quarter life, that means, of 12 hours, which means you still have 25% of your 80 to 100 milligrams of caffeine in your system 12 hours later. This is why some people really worry about coffee consumption or too much coffee consumption. The other thing that you should know, because coffee is thermogenic, it does help you burn calories. It also can mean that you won't sleep as well at night. not because it's keeping you up, but because it's keeping you warm. Because it's thermogenic, even if you don't feel like you're caffeine sensitive, you may have less than a restful night. You may not appreciate that, except that when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel as fresh as you would like to feel. So, the best way to handle this is to think about alternatives to caffeine. So, ask yourself this question while you go through your 28 days of health. Why do I drink coffee? What are some of the benefits that I get from it, right? Is it just that ceremony in the morning? That's something you probably don't want to replace. That's something that's working for you, and that's self care. But maybe you're not going to drink as much coffee later in the day because you know that now the half life and ultimately quarter life of caffeine may mean that you've got a lot of that still in your system at midnight, and you may not have the restful sleep that you're looking for. Perhaps you are someone that is perimenopausal or postmenopausal, which means that hot flashes have been a part of your life. Or you're just now becoming acquainted with hot flashes as a female. And I'm going to bring men into this as well, because men can also have some variation on that theme of a hot flash. And caffeine or coffee drinking can raise the temperature enough that you may not have a great night's sleep simply because you're just sleeping a little bit warmer. And if you're perimenopausal, you've already kind of upped that temperature game on yourself. The other thing that's worth paying attention to, besides the alternatives like green coffee that can give you so many of these other health benefits, is that you do habituate to coffee. So, at the very least, go ahead and take a honeymoon from it. The ways you know if you really need to be doing this is if at 2, 3, maybe as late as 4 in the afternoon, even though you've been drinking coffee, you feel pretty tired. You would describe yourself as exhausted. So you do what? You reach for another cup of coffee. Really, what your body is doing is giving you a silent scream through that yawn that you're drinking too much coffee and you need to take a break from it. By taking that break from the coffee, you might have a headache. And that's why I want to introduce hydration back to you. But after that caffeine headache is gone, after a couple of days, you'll find, and even during those few couple of days where you have the headache, especially if you're a real chronic coffee drinker, what you're going to find is that you are in fact more productive. You're going to be surprised at how well you do in the afternoon without caffeine. So here's my prescription for you. Definitely have that morning cup of coffee if you're a coffee drinker. That ceremony for you is self-care, and it's great for you as long as the first thing you reach for in the morning is some water, that the second thing that you reach for in the morning be your cup of coffee. Consider how many cups of coffee you drink. Limit it to no more than limit it to 4 a day and no more. If you can shoot for that 3, you're still going to get the same health benefits that you got from 4. If you're someone that says, I drink a lot more coffee than that, I want you to think about supplementation with acai berry, mangosteen supplementation, but probably you're going to get the biggest bang and similar benefit that you were getting from coffee if you supplement with chlorogenic acid in a green coffee bean supplement. These are some of the best tips I have for you. I hope you continue your journey on your 28 days of health. Tomorrow morning, if you're willing to post it, hashtag 28 days of health. Show me a cup of your coffee, a cup of your trim tea, a cup of your trim cafe, and tell me what you're going to do tomorrow to make that day amazing for you and the people around you. Until I get to see you again, go be healthy, go be brilliant.